Come on, get it, squeak it one more time. Nope. She knew I went live. Hello, good morning, happy Thursday, and welcome back to another episode of Reaper Pro Tips with me, your host, and disembodied voice, Justin. Hey guys.
Hello, everyone.
Yay, we have a disembodied voice back. Hooray! Awesome. Here, let me make sure that I have widened my chat so that I can see all of you. Widen the chat. Narrow chat is not good. We'd like chat to be wide. Wide chat. Yay, that's good, Inara. Sitting down is good. Yes, Kiri squeaked just a little during the intro, but then she stopped squeaking. Yeah, paint ordering yesterday. Good. Yes, all of you run off and buy the paint. Buy the paint that Ed very graciously has made available for you. That they were not going to. Hey, Dr. Rhino. I haven't seen you before. Hi. Welcome. All right. You missed saying hi to the disembodied voice, yes. So when is the studio going to be, rebuilt, Justin? Do you know?
We talked about that a little bit yesterday.
Yeah.
It's not so much in our hands anymore.
Oh, okay.
There's some things we have to do, but outside of that, it's gonna be a thing.
It's gonna be a slow thing.
I have no idea. It's indeterminable, unfortunately.
Yeah, it depends on other people getting shit done before you can get shit done, in short.
Yeah. Partly, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Hey, Barentor, I haven't seen you in a while. Thanks for making it. So, guys, Justin and I were just talking, and we need to check stock on giveaway. So we might have to do the AMA next Friday, unless Justin, you think you can verify that we have 3 of what I talked to you about, quickly.
Yeah, if he answers today.
Yeah.
Problem is I want to be able to promote the thing. I don't want to tell people, yeah, we might have one tomorrow. Check in.
Right. Exactly. That's true. So I totally get that. So, all right. So maybe we'll have to pause then and see. I think is there a Reaper Live today, Kaz asks?
Yeah, there should be.
All right.
I don't, oh, it's not going to be 99.5. It's going to be 99.1. Because of the current status of the studio.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, in fact, for all intents and purposes, it might just be 99A, B, C, D. I don't know at this point, unfortunately.
Thanks for the sub freestyle. Justin, we got a few subs yesterday, too, so I don't know if you were tracking those toward our next giveaway. You're going to dance in and steal the comfy seat, Planer? Yeah, I haven't seen you around, Planer. You been busy? Let me start setting up my palette to do yellow and gold and MM because they go together. So why not do both? We were making such good progress on Alithea. I was just like, I guess I'm just gonna go for it because I haven't really worked with. I haven't had time this week to work on Snack and kind of figure out how I do her water. I might have time this weekend. I'm hoping I'll have time this weekend to kind of try a couple things and see if I can get the effect that I want. So, because I don't want to go, hey guys, this is what we're gonna do, and then have it turn out crappy, and then you're all like, oh well, let's trash that idea. So let's see here. What do we want? We need a high coverage ochre for our yellow. So I know I have Palomino in here somewhere. At least I thought I had Palomino in here somewhere. Was I smoking when I thought I had Palomino? I'm not seeing it. Maybe I decided it wasn't awesome anyway, or maybe I put it in my my Clear Breads bag. If not, we'll use ochre. But I like to start with something with a bit of ochre in it, because it usually has better coverage. And I'm just not seeing it. Weird. Well then, unless I can see it when I glance over here at my yellows, since I do have my bag of yellows here. Oh, there it is. Oh, nope, that's Blonde Shadow. Another color. Oh, there's Palomino. Okay, so we'll start with Palomino with a little bit of lantern in it, probably. Then we'll go up to Candlelight and White. Bag of yellows to the rescue. My area is so messy. God, guys, we need to hit that next Patreon goal. So I could go to IKEA, which apparently, did you see, the business in IKEA has boomed over the last 6 months because so many people had to turn their houses into home offices and home schools. I thought that was really funny. It makes total sense, right? But it's just these weird COVID side effects. They keep going. Twitch is being super twitchy today. Sorry, Trixie. I had an awesome dinner out with my man last night. I totally didn't put my food pictures up on our Discord yet, guys, but it will. Maybe we should have a food porn channel on my Discord. Do you guys like that idea? We can share pictures of all, you know, the internet loves to see the tasty things that you're making that we can't help you eat, you know, so. Yes, today is my D&D channel game. That I'm looking forward to that. Man, my brain has been going nonstop on it. You like food? Pendrake, you're officially my scribe now. You know that. Since I gave you the link to the Discord, even though you're not a patron because you're keeping notes on the game, like you're totally the painting big scribe. I hereby promote you. I dub thee scribe. If you do a very good job, then I'll give you I'll make you my partner on my World Anvil so that you can officially put up articles and stuff. That's updates for the game and things. If you feel like you want to do that. We'll see how it goes. It's all so new. So I'm mixing up a mixture of Palomino Gold, still a very, 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 very useful color when it comes to putting down a base coat for yellow. This one is actually a little bit better than the Ogre skin that I was using before. And I am adding in a drop of Lantern Yellow. The Palomino, when you put it over white, goes a very saturated yellow, but I also want a little bit of the color that I'm actually going to be using. And Lantern Yellow is the darker version, and Candlelight Yellow is the lighter version of this pigment. So essentially, I want this to start with because of its high coverage, but I want just a little bit of Lantern in there to make it even more of a yellow, essentially. But starting with an ochre, and specifically Palomino has really good coverage. So, you bought a knighthood. Outranks a scribe. I don't know, scribes are really important for the continuance of the empire. I didn't, Pendrake. I actually bought a map making program myself, too, so we can work together on that and see, any maps, like, different versions of the map is cool, too, if we have, like, different art things. Did you use a program to make your map? Because I just, which one did I buy the other day? I'm waiting for the new one that's integrated with World Anvil. Scribes were everything in Timbuktu. Actually, Polaris, that's a good thing that you pick up because NMM Gold base is actually very much like a mixture of these two things. So you could also use NMM Gold base. It also has high coverage. I usually say just when you start with a color that has a little bit of yellow, of ochre in it. And those would be things like the Ogre Skin, but the Palomino Gold has slightly more coverage. Palomino Gold or NMM Gold base. Those are really your choices. The old HD Mustard Yellow was also a really good one. A lot of people use that to start their yellows. And it's the same reason. It's got that earth pigment, which is much higher coverage, but when you put it over white, it still looks a lot brighter than you think it looks in the bottle. I'd have to look. My laptop's in the other there's one that was kind of recommended. They did a review of them, and it was the more fantasy-ish one, but it doesn't do cities like the new Deus. I think it's Deus that's coming out. That's done by the person who does maps for Critical Role and stuff. And that's going to be fully integrated into World Anvil. So I'm really waiting for that one. I'm going to get it on the beta, which actually opens on the 15th, and play around with that because maps are fun. No, not Otherworldly. I'd have to look. I pretty much grabbed it just because it wasn't too expensive, and I was like, I think I can just play around with this a little bit and learn how today's cartographer programs work. I need glasses, or I can't do anything. It won't let you post a link unless you, no, it's not dungeony. It's more for world and regional, and less for... I'm not really interested in doing dungeons at this point. We're not doing that micro of a thing. We're doing, we're looking at world building, so we're definitely wanting a broader look. Now, the new Deus, or whatever it's called, program, is going to let you go all the way from world all the way down to tiny dungeon. So that will be a lot more, feasible for that sort of thing. I'm very impressed with World Anvil. I was reading off the huge list of things that it can do last night to David, and he's just like, this is a total time sink, and when are your players like you could overwhelm a player with the World Anvil just as easily as you could feel overwhelmed with it as a GM. All right, I do need a line up here, and I also need to deal with that I at this point I really have to decide, because I left this little cutout on her chest, and I think it's supposed to be skin. But I've done my skin ages ago. I guess I still need to do her hands, though. So I guess I can do that at the same time. So I guess what I should do is just line that area to remind myself. And then I need to line around this braid because it's totally messy up here. This white creep is not going to work. So let's get some brown liner. I'd have to go look at, I don't remember which one I picked up because I haven't had a time to crack it open. I pretty much grabbed it these days because I have so much to do. My Patreon is really the focus during the week. So I'm working on a couple of coaching things that I need to get done still for Val and for one other person. But yeah, the weekends are really where I'm going to have time to experiment with new programs, do things like that. I try not to let myself get too distracted during the week. It's so easy when you're a freelance person. Because technically, you could drop the ball and just spend a whole week playing if you wanted to. And you got to avoid doing that. There has to be a good reason for it. Like, if this stream takes off and we get a ton of subscribers and it's just, it really grows my Twitch, then I can actually rationalize taking 2 days just to work on the game, right? But it's all, I have to keep, it's a business, right? I have to keep my bottom line in my mind, right? So for right now, anything I do with the game needs to be on the weekend. Or in the evening. I've been doing some notes in the evening. Alrighty. Now, anything we create in our world building stream, of course, is, we can tweak it as it goes. I think that worlds are best that way. Start out with concepts and then narrow them down. If something doesn't work at that point, you can throw it out. World Anvil, and they have a free version. It's so exhaustive, scrying eye. You can build your world, and it gives you all sorts of templates to do articles and maps about varying aspects of your world, right? All sorts of different stuff. You can upload images, all that stuff that old Obsidian Portal used to do. But then in addition, you create a game, you can invite players, they can upload their character sheets. It has full compatibility with most standard role-playing game systems. So it'll give you a character sheet to fill in. That's legit. It has a loot tracker so that both the GM and the party can keep track of loot. The GM can put in treasure the party gets, and then the party can make notes on, splitting it up and who gets what. Which is so nice because, gosh, it's so, that's one of the big painful things, right? You usually have one player who gets stuck with the loot tracking. But this program will kind of make it super easy and painless. You just type it in and done. And then everybody can look at it. And you don't have to search it out in your notes. And then the other thing is, it lets you plan a campaign. So you can create all your plot arcs and your subplot arcs and have it all, on a timeline and do all these things. It is a time sink. If you are a serious GM, if you are one of your big loves in life is to run role-playing games, World Anvil, I think, is fantastic. So far. I haven't even touched, I've started my first article, and I started the campaign. Just because I wanted to see what the campaign interface was like and so it'll let me kind of fill in plots that we figure out. It also lets you track all your NPCs, and you can make them visible or invisible to players. So you essentially can just, every time you interact with somebody, you can just make little notes on them, whether they were a favorable interaction or not favorable, or they were just kind of neutral because they weren't powerful enough to matter to your party. And you can track all that, right? And as you find out more things about this NPC, if you're interested in them, you can add those things. So then everybody has a great, oh, what was that person? We dealt with her back in that, Ankeg game. Oh, that's who oh yeah, I remember now. It's that kind of thing. The kind of thing you'd normally have to keep exhaustive notes on, but now it's online and easily accessible for anybody, and that's just so awesome. Hey, Shadow Raven. Yeah, you should. Hey, Smallish Sam, thank you for the Prime sub. Thank you. 2-month streak. Awesome. Yeah, Google Doc would do the same. This is just pretty, right? Because you can put, artwork up. You can put, just all sorts of you can trim off a part of your map that you're making for your world and put that up as a graphic. Yeah, I don't know. World Anvil came directly from a recommendation on the stream, and so I went and checked it out. And I like the people who are running it. They seem cool. They seem really passionate, and they respond personally to every email if you have a question, which is like got to be driving them nuts at this point. But because I'm sure it's gotten bigger than they thought it would. But yeah, I really like it. Like I said, nobody brought up Foundry to me. World Anvil was the one, because I originally was looking at Obsidian Portal because that's what I used back in the day, but that was years ago. This has so many more tools. So I think for GMs, I'm going to get more into it. I like it a lot. They also let you, they also let you write like short stories and fanfic and things like that related to World if you feel like it, stuff like that. It's got a cool interface. And then at the highest level, apparently, it has the ability. It also has the ability to do gated content if you're a subscriber, which I did. I decided I liked, after watching their Who We Are video. I thought I liked them and would toss them some support. So I actually signed up for a paying subscription, but they allow you to give other people access to your editor. They allow you to make gated content for your patrons, for example, if you want to. I'm not out to do that this time because this is a Twitch thing, so I don't want to put doors in where there aren't any doors. Although I may make special content for my patrons at some point if there's interest. I expect some crossover between the Patreon and the Twitch stream, but not necessarily a ton. I mean, definitely the core group you guys who support me. Like I see you everywhere, so that's awesome. I love having that core community. But eventually, I suspect there'll be quite a bit of divergence between the Twitch and the Patreon. There are definitely people who prefer Twitch and definitely people who prefer Patreon. Neat. I did get a subscription. Yeah, Planer. I wanted to, the owners of World Anvil look really cool. And so I decided they mentioned on one of their videos, and this doesn't surprise me because this is the actual conversion rate that I see on a lot of, online media, but only 3% of the people who sign on to World Anvil actually, get a paying account. So yeah, I mean, it's worth it for me. I think I went for the 40. I was going to just go for the base one, which was 40 a year, but they were having a sale and the next level up was only 58 a year. So I was like, oh, sure. So I'm going to that gives me access to almost all the tools. So it really lets me try it out. And then I'll decide if I still like it. But so far I think it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. Yeah, it seems like it's really going to be fun. Like, consider that I've never worked with a program this exhaustive for this sort of thing before. I think is amazing. The stuff that the RPG community has put together to enable making an amazing game for your players. Like, this sort of program, I know it's not the only one, but the people who get inspired to do this stuff just so that they can run ever more amazing games. I just love it. I love it. I mean, I grew up when I was 9 and I got my first D&D Advanced Dungeons and Dragons book. I decided I was going to be a really good GM. You can imagine little 9-year-old Anne deciding I'm going to be a really good GM. Although it was DM in those days. So, this just plays to little 9-year-old Anne's, conviction that she wants to run really cool games. So, over the years, I'm just excited by this stuff. I think it's super fantastic. All right, so I managed to line that. I cleaned up that little tie. We don't want to start messing around with yellow and highlighting. Yellow is titchy enough, so we don't want to mess around with that without having our lining in place, so we can really separate that white cord there. I'm going to line this area, this cutout, the leather gorget, and then she's got a cutout here because, of course, you need to say, hey, look at my boobs, and also hit me here. Maybe she just makes that part of her fighting style. What do you think, guys? Is the boob cutout, it could be fashion. She could be very proud of her bustier. You never know. But maybe she's got a fighting style where she distracts opponents with her cleavage and then, that sort of thing. And she's also got little tiny, there's also, now that I get there, I see little tiny stitches here to lace this together. So I need to hit those with a little bit of liner. It's right up under her neck. You can kind of see where I put that dark shadow in there. Little tiny laces there to stitch that leather together. Lifts and separates, indeed. As long as it's Wizard of the Coast D&D is still DM. Now, I do GM because I ran White Wolf for so long. It was a long time where I didn't run D&D. Yeah, well, that's always the rule in all of life, right? If you find something that works for you, go for it. That is like the tenet of reality. That's really where everybody should go. It is again, we'll bring up the Bruce Lee quote again, use what is useful to you. Discard what is not. Oh, actually, Pendrake, this character, this model is just for Reaper, but I decided I'm gonna get another one of her, and paint her more like a rogue, like go do the armor like a polished leather instead of the steel, because I really love this model, and she's honestly been a joy to paint. So, if you really want a cool paint, and if the NMM scares you, you can always go leather with her, or you could go with metallics, but that's her number. She's really just a good sculpt. Like everything from the hair to the armor to the cloth to the outfit, she's just really been fun. Like that's kind of why I'm still working on her today, is that, and I need to figure out what to do with snack spacing. But she's really been a joy. She's really, really been a joy. Now I'm also going to get some white out because when I lined this braid, I did lose a little bit of it. I want it to be a nice solid line before I start putting that yellow on. We also need to figure out what the heck we're going to do with this dagger. I haven't done a thing with it. It's sitting here. I probably need to just do a brown liner wash on it, which is totally doable. So first, let's get some pure white out. Then let's build a little bit of a wash in through it. When I've got just like one of those things, like a dagger on the hip or something that's really detailed back here and I haven't decided what to do with it, it helps to do that brown liner wash to bring in all the details so you can kind of make a judgment call. Like I can see that it has this kind of braided cord that's kind of holding it onto her belt, and maybe I want to do that in yellow, right? But if I don't kind of outline that for myself and take a look at the features of the dagger, I'm not going to do it, right? And maybe I really want to make this the dagger tip here and the pommel steel. I've already done most of my steel, but I haven't done some of the steel back here, so that's still open. And then there's this little box, which I think is just a little container, probably painted leather, just a square pouch instead of a more organic pouch like this, And then there's little piping on this pouch even that probably needs to be yellow. So yes, it's good to separate out the details when you can. Yeah, I was kind of thinking it would be fun. Because as I'm sitting here and I'm getting what I'm doing is I'm building out very basic things about the races. And then I'm like, let you guys go to town on like some specifics and the characters like that we're talking about, right? And how these characters, I wanted to build out some of the basics of the racial backgrounds and the other big cities that those races live in, so that we would have a background for our characters that aren't from Port Abandon. Just enough. And then as we make those characters, then we get further flesh out those big places. I really want the focus to be on the port city that we're building, but we do need a little bit of background about, the Imri, the great city of the elves. We need a little bit of cultural background on those races just so we can make convincing characters that are from those cultures. So I made up some basic stuff. I'm going to run it by you on the stream this afternoon and get you guys' input and see if you like it. I'm really liking my elves, and actually I'm really liking my gnomes, which I never like. I'm not a gnome and halfling player. I never have been, but I made up a little bit. Like it came to me a backstory for the gnomes this morning, and then I was like, oh, that makes them so cool. So we might have to just make iconics. We might have to do a Pathfinder thing and make up an iconic of every character class and use, make at least one halfling, at least one gnome. It would be fun. So I can't wait to share with you guys. But I think the character that we're going to start on, because before I was just painting random model on the stream. But today, I actually prepped Izzy and Rufus. So Isobel the Bard and Rufus the dog. So we'll start on them. We'll start building their characters today, kind of, and by doing so, we'll create some more stuff in Port Abandon, and we'll also, like I said, I'll share the other racial stuff, because she's human. She could be half elven. Or half Orcan, I suppose. Good. Hey, reporter. Coobs, this is a stream game. I decided that Thursday on my stream, my own Painting Big stream, Thursday afternoon, 4:30 p.m. to 6 p.m. Central USA time, that I was going to do paint D&D characters. But then I decided, well, if we're going to do that, why not create a world? Why not create like all the details about these? Why not build these characters, build the world around them, and then maybe do some roleplay all on stream? Just doing it like choose your own adventure stream. We'll create the characters in the world and then we'll play. And we'll figure out how to do things like dice rolling or whatever when it comes down to it. But I've always been a very role play heavy DM anyway, so that lends itself to that. And that I thought that would be super fun. So our first task is to continue to flesh out our world as we paint some of our initial characters. So we kind of talked about like different classes and races last time, and I chose some miniatures for them with the help of my Discord. So some things I guess the Patreon is going to get, fun stuff about. I am thinking about opening my Discord up to everybody so that people from Twitch who want to be involved in the stream game can at least see those channels, but keeping the painting channels private to my patrons. So I'm considering doing that. All right, so we've got some nice white. It's pretty solid. I've thinned it. It's about a 3-to-1, I want to say. I don't want to glob up detail. This is a tiny little braid. But I do want to outline it so that the yellow looks really stark when I put it down. So there, we've got a pretty good there. Now I can kind of hit to the areas on these the little braid strings here and make sure that this one stands out. Anything you want to be yellow, make sure that you're doing white first. So if we're going to make these little things on the pouch yellow, that we need to put them in white. They're just little cords, little things that are decorative on the pouch. Let's see here. Anything, all of my little these little things on the sleeves that are black right now need to go white. And these are so tiny. These little details on the poofy sleeves and pants are pretty small. And I think I'm just gonna, I don't know if I want them on a hand. I do have some black folds here. Do I have room? I guess I do. So this side I did keep the little black parts. So we'll make 2 little white lines on her hand. Yeah, I know, Planer. That's why I went back and forth. I thought about making a new Discord for just for the Twitch game. But that's a lot of work. Like, I spend a fair amount of time every day checking my Discord and responding to things. So if I added another thing on there, again, it's all my time management, right? I'm a freelancer. I need to watch my time and how I spend it during the week. So then I thought I could allow people, I could essentially gate off a large portion of my Discord to be just for my patrons. Like, just for the painting stuff and all of that. And the only things that I would keep general open would be like general chat, announcements. It's kind of built that way. I switched things around over the weekend. General chat, announcements, the D&D channel, which probably would grow into a few sub-channels at that point. Things like off-topic, that kind of thing. So yeah, so that's kind of what I was thinking, because I don't want to necessarily add the work of another Discord, especially not this early in the process. If down the road we get a crap ton of new friends from this endeavor into D&D, then we can consider then splitting off. It might be worth it then to have this separate Discord. But I was trying to figure out how to do it while still taking care of my time commitment. I don't want to overcommit. I really don't want to overcommit because I want to have the time to really make the game cool. I don't want to have to ride herd on a whole nother Discord necessarily. All right, and the lines aren't as evident in this one. All right, and she's got another sleeve over here. Just gonna put a yellow one right there. All right, trying to make sure I've got all white around all these black little struts, which are going to be yellow. And then that should make those details really pop out. And then remember, we were also thinking of a yellow border or a gold border on her cape. So what I'll do probably is I'll bring in the yellow on all these little things, and then I'll make the call on the cape. But I think I will go yellow on the cape, just looking at it. These little touches of yellow are going to be so tiny. She's going to have more on her front because of the nice braid on her chest. And the more I think about it, the more I think the flower might be yellow. Because there really aren't huge touches of yellow on this figure. It's definitely the secondary color. The teal is the main color. Teal and silver. So I'm using the side of my brush here, and because my paint is a little thicker, it's that 3-to-1 paint to water, and I've got very little of it on my brush, I can just rub the side of my brush over these little struts and pick them up. I don't need to worry about directly painting them and maybe, you know, making a crooked line. Now, stuff that's close to the hair like this, that's a little harder to do. So let's see here. So this one, I reloaded my brush so I could use the very tip. Very gently. Go slow. Go slow is the rule here. Yeah, I would need to get some Discord moderation. Yes, Shadow Raven. Although I do a bit myself, but yeah, that's the thing, right? We're still tossing around ideas, and it's like it kind of depends. It all kind of depends. Right now, D&D channel is just on my Discord, and I've just added, I've added Pendrake, just because he's offered to do notes on our streams, and that's a really useful thing. So, like I said, Pendrake is now the official scribe of StreamWorld. I should make it a special color for you, Pendrake. Pendrake for StreamWorld Scribe. I should create a new color on my Discord. And this one is a little bit weird. This part of the leg is a little bit odd. I've got some white back there I didn't fill in. I think it's a little bit of a casting or molding. It just recesses behind this particular strut. So I'm going to grab my brown liner and try to fill that in. I have to go really close to stuff I've painted. So just like I talked about this actually on my Patreon where I talked about how to paint hard to reach areas, guys. Get your brush going. Get a little bit of moisture in it. Get just the tip of the brush with brown liner on it. That way, if the side of your brush hits this hand or this metal while you're filling in this part, it's not going to matter. There's no paint on that part of the brush. So you don't have to worry about accidentally painting something you've already painted when you're getting in this hard to reach area. And that did it. That filled it in nicely. So good. Hello, Alexander. Welcome. If you're new, I'm Anne. I work for Reaper. This is our stream about painting Reaper miniatures, and I also, give tips and tricks and painting knowledge. I made Reaper's paint line, so I am she who made the paint for about 15, 16 years. I worked for Reaper for 17 years. And now I am out west, so I am remotely working for Reaper, doing painting streams, which is awesome. So we're just going to get that little tag there, because we're going to make that yellow. The planet doesn't have a name yet. I kind of thought it might come to us. I want to use kind of an ancient name. So the dealio with this planet, guys, is that the oldest races that are known are the orcs and the elves. But there was a race or civilization before them. They might both have descended from that civilization, but if at this point in time in the world, nobody knows anything about that civilization except that they find its ruins everywhere. So most of the time, the various cultures, the current modern cultures, call those places old stones. Old stones just refers to like places where that one progenitor race or original race, came from. And they may have destroyed themselves. The next races may have just risen up naturally, or the gods may have given them a helping hand. Every race, by the way, every culture, because the races are very much bound to cultures in this world, has its own creation story. And you don't know which of them is right, if any. So keep that in mind. So I don't know the Skyrim world by heart, so I'm just flipping this off the top of my head. But if that's the ancient race, yeah. I mean, it's a fairly common fantasy trope that you had a progenitor race. It's even common in science fiction. The Uplift books by David Brin have essentially the thought of a progenitor race or ancestor races that nobody knows anything about, or that can even be like worshipped to the point of religion in some races. So it's not a new idea. But I like it because it gives us ancient ruins that are mysterious, and it gives us lots of mysteries and ancient tech or magic to explore. And I love that sort of stuff. Like, I adore ancient places. I took a lot of archaeology courses in college, just for fun. So I love that kind of thing. Yeah, yeah. So I was thinking that the only thing that might have come down, or the only word that might have come down from that ancient culture might have been the name of the world. So we have to figure that out. And it might be that a couple of different cultures have a different name for the world. That happens a lot in the real world. Yeah, I don't. Nobody knows that this race. I mean, this race could have just become two new races. It's all so long ago. And I mean, the dwarves and the elves. Or sorry, not the dwarves and the elves, the orcs and the elves. I mean, they have a very ancient tradition as it is. So going beyond that, there's just this kind of hole in everybody's memory. Nobody knows. It was a long time ago. And some of that knowledge may have been hidden. Some of that knowledge may have been destroyed. Who knows, right? We're creating a world. It can be anything. And what I don't want to do, what you never want to do, in my experience, is you never want to answer these questions as the first thing when creating a new world. It's very tempting as the GM to answer these questions. But if you leave that open-ended, down the road somewhere, there will be a point where you can do an incredible reveal when something suddenly occurs to you that fits into everything that has gone before. Like, your brains work in mysterious ways. And so if you decide in advance on the answers to those big questions, you lose that. You lose out on the chance to do that. And so I try never to assign. This is a big question mark. It's going to stay a big question mark for a while. There probably wasn't. All good world builders don't give you direct answers, Night SOS. Unless that's the point of a game. Like, if at some point, if Elder Scrolls Bethesda, I guess, decides to do a thing on the Dwemer where a game focused on them, then they'll answer some questions, right? But they don't have to answer questions till that point. It's much more tantalizing as a mystery. It keeps people interested in the world. If you answer all the questions your world has to offer, your world becomes boring. Everybody knows everything. Where's the fun in that? So I like to have a mysterious future and a mysterious past. All right, let's get this dagger washed so that we can actually see the different parts of it and decide what's yellow. So my wash formula these days is a drop of brown liner. Let's see, where's my, nope, wrong thing. Yay, brush on sealer, 107. Oh yeah, whenever you have an ancient destroyed race, you have to have some remnant still around, right? Whether it's like Ulduar in Blizzard, in World of Warcraft world, where the Titans left recordings, right? Or or you have an old piece of technology from that era, or an ancient magic item that still remembers some things and might know more than it lets on. That sort of thing. You got to have something like that. You just don't know where it is. Let's see here. Yeah. Which, if you think about it, it makes sense for that, right? If you have an ancient civilization, everything that you know about it, everybody's going to think they know stuff about it. And there's going to be competing theories, just like we have competing theories now between Egyptologists about various things, in Egypt or in any other ancient civilization. Egypt is actually better explained than most because we have the Rosetta Stone. But all the cultures like the Mayans, where we don't have a Rosetta Stone, it's like you're kind of trying to, figure it out. And everybody's got a theory. And even after things are generally accepted, you're still going to have a rogue archaeologist who says, no, you guys have it all wrong. And they may be wrong, and they may be right. You never know. Yeah, we'll see, Elder Scrolls. I mean, I would like to see them come out with the next Skyrim, the next non-online. 2, 3, 4. So 1 drop of paint, 4 drops of brush on sealer, and 2 drops of water. And we'll see how that goes. I started using a slightly higher percentage of sealer because I like the transparency it gives. I used to do a 3-3-1. Now I do a 4-2-1. No, we don't even go there, Grim. I don't know, maybe Forerunners. I don't know. We'll keep tossing it around. Maybe there's maybe one of the civilizations that thinks they're descended from those people would use that term. But any race that doesn't think it was descended from them may not call it that. So we'll have to see. All right, so let's see about that. That has outlined everything pretty well. Now I can see everything. That's the purpose of like doing a tiny targeted watch like this. I can kind of see now where things are. If there is, I can see if there's kind of a border around these things. Like, here, let me show you. So like this box looked like just a box, but now we can see that it has a little tiny border along the top, like, or a lid, right? So it's good to put that wash in there and see what this stuff looks like. Try to keep it contained. Use a smaller brush to apply it so that you don't get it everywhere. You don't want it going all over your teal that you nicely built up, for example. Yeah, I mean, you know, sandbox games like Skyrim have this wonderful, like, they definitely can get boring. I definitely can see that because you can go anywhere, do anything. So if the story doesn't grab you, or if you don't feel like there's just something about the world that really grabs you in, you might get bored with it. Like, I played through a fair amount of Skyrim, but I didn't go through everything. There came to a point where I wasn't having fun anymore. I tried Elder Scrolls Online too. It didn't hold me, but it does take a pretty good game these days to hold me. Like, it takes a particular type of game, I think. We'll see about this new WoW expansion. It sounds very promising. I don't think I'm gonna like give my life up to it, but it could be fun. It would be nice to have a WoW expansion where I could have fun with it again, because I do have a nostalgia for WoW. So again, we've actually gotten a place behind this box that is just recessed, and it doesn't have any paint in it right now. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do that dark thing again. We're gonna grab a bunch of our original brown liner mix, and we're gonna try to flood that area. I might use a little extra on the tip of my brush. You can see that it's kind of blobbing on the end of my brush. I'm going to stick it right in there and just kind of darken that whole area. It's way recessed behind her cape and the dagger here, so it doesn't really need to be anything other than dark. Just making sure I get it all. I mean, it's a place that doesn't fill in necessarily great because it's kind of buried as far as the molding process goes. So, oh, I don't know, Polaris. Blizzard is famous for delaying things if they're not ready. And I trust Blizz on this from past experience. If COVID severely like pushed off the game, then Blizz will eventually release it and it'll be stable, right? It'll be good. I would much rather have a game delayed and have it come out and be like, not have huge holes in it than to have somebody rush to meet a release date. And then, it's screwy. Oh, yeah, you're right. It is the opening in the scabbard. It looks like a box because you can't really see that right there. All right, thanks for the tip. I would have discovered that down the road and gone, hey, wait. So, all right, scabbard bit. Well, now we know that's gold. Thanks for the tip. That's hard when stuff gets kind of behind things and you're not sure. And of course, you can always check online. You can always look at the previously painted version of the model to see if anybody, if there are clues in there. With these very, very detailed concepts by Izzy, it often is that there's just so much that it can be hard sometimes to tell what things are. They're lovely, but yeah, sometimes it is a little more difficult. The nice thing is about Izzy concept art is since she has a background in costume design and armoring and all this sort of thing, her designs make sense. There isn't just some random piece of something like jutting out somewhere that you have to figure out, what it is. So yeah, so this has given us this wash has given us a really good look at what this dagger actually looks like. Like I can see all the individual pieces now. The pommel's up there, got a little bit of handle, got the hilt coming out here, the top of the scabbard here. We have a cord here. It looks like also, it actually looks like this cord is maybe wrapping up the hilt. I can't tell. This does look like a hilt and not a cord. But this little thing here, and that little thing there are essentially clipping on. It's probably clipping on to the top of the scabbard here. And they're going to be yellow because they're cords. And then we'll have to figure out, we probably want to go back and make the scabbard itself teal, but it might want to be brown instead if we want to keep that warm brown going around, because it's definitely, you can't see the belt when it gets to that point. And then probably steel for this, because it's right up near a gold part. I want to kind of alternate. So that's going to be, but that part is definitely going to be yellow, so we can overcoat it white. Yeah, I prefer PC. Yep. We see it now. Thanks, guys. Video game companies come and go. They make great products, they make crappy products. And, the bigger they get, the more they're run by committee and stockholders, and the less they're run by people who just love the games. Right, see, Chibi, I'm the same way. Like, I have to watch it when I get into a game. That's true for stream game and for real-life computer games. I'm more likely to kind of watch David playing a game because I can do that while I'm doing other things. So when the new Ori game came out, I watched him play through that instead of trying to play it myself, so that I could, like, do my exercises or whatever in the evening and watch him play. Or make supper and watch him play. David's my video game surrogate. Although I'm definitely playing the new WoW, just because. Hey Zambies, how's it going? Is that your doggy? The Jade puppy picture? Somebody put a Kiri up. I got a Kiri made for my dog, Zambies. Yeah, things are good. Things are really good. I'm looking forward to my stream this afternoon, too. Yeah. Yeah, I pretty much watched the entire Final Fantasy, like 7 and 9 and 10 and 10X. I watched all those Final Fantasy games and just watched my friends play through. There's the Kiri face. Yay, Chibi Kiri. Yeah, I've heard that the new Baldur's Gate looks cool. I'm going to try very hard not to let it suck me in, Grim. I've got so much else to do. Yeah, doggo emotes. Yes, Kiri's everywhere. Yeah, Chibi Amy's daughter drew me Kiri, Zambies. So now I finally have an emote for my doggy. I'm very happy. So yeah, scabbard is down here. We need to make sure that is there, and great. So I think we've got all the areas then that we want to be yellow kind of blocked in. Now we can finally use our yellow base and drop a drop of water in it because it's been like a while, 45 minutes, so it's evaporated just a bit. New Baldur's Gate is cool. All right, cool. Yeah, I'll look at it. You'll help by playing it and telling me all about it. I wonder if David ever played Baldur's Gate. He's in meetings all morning, so he's not here. Yeah, David and I play Overwatch in the evenings, unless he wants to. He's playing the new Hades game. He really likes it. I like the story, so I've been kind of like listening in on it. But then when we play together, we play Overwatch. All right, yellow. Yellow. We're going to use, I'm using my DaVinci today, my Maestro. I'm using the paint a little thicker. It's definitely like a 3-to-1. I want a solid yellow coat where I'm going to be doing my yellow. If I feel like my yellow gets out of control, I can grab some of my brown liner and line around it. We just want it. The nice thing about all these yellow places is most of them are sticking out. So if you just use a light touch, you can get a nice yellow coat on them. Yeah, I played the original Baldur's Gate 2 ages ago. I spent a lot of time on it. These days, though, it's a hard sell for me to spend a lot of time on a computer game these days because there's so many fun, creative things that I do with my off time. Like, when it comes to November, you guys are going to lose me to National Novel Writing Month. Like, I'm no talk of computer games or any other silliness. I must work on my NaNoWriMo. Need to start prepping for that as it is. Alrighty. Does anybody else on here do Nano? Anybody else do National Novel Writing Month? In the gang? Hey, I only said you needed one Balrog. They would make a pretty good all-female town guard, though. Well, I do a bit in the evenings, Polaris. But there's also a lot of other creative stuff I do. Like 2D art and writing and stuff. Yeah. Well, but I already have a project novel that I need to... It's Nano edit mo for me. Shadow Raven. I'm rewriting my second book. The first book is about... I'm finishing up last cuts to get it down below a certain level for YA fiction. But that will be done by the start of November, and then I need the second book done. I mean, it's done, but it needs to be, like, edited within an inch of its life, because I wrote it a few years ago, and I'm definitely better since then. It needs some serious work. It's a rough draft still, so, I mean, all rough drafts need work. Yeah, right. There's just not enough time for it, right? Coobs, exactly. Yeah, it's very hard. It's very hard. But yeah, I still work on stuff in my, painting in the evenings. Otherwise, I wouldn't have that awesome bust that I keep showing you. I just haven't had time to work on her for a bit. It's, I also want to spend time with David, and that's not negotiable. I mean, spending time with your significant other is definitely something that you need in your life. So, in the evening, sometimes we hobby, and sometimes we play Overwatch. And sometimes I hobby and he plays Overwatch, or sometimes he hobbies and I work on other stuff. But yeah, it varies. I don't paint every evening unless I'm if I'm on a deadline, or when conventions come back and we're doing competition models, I will be painting a lot more consistently in the evenings. I think I forgot a little bit of yellow. See that there's a little tiny line back here that needs to be yellow. So I'm going to try to go in with my brush and a little bit of white and hit that detail. Go very slow, very gently, very little paint on your brush. Okay, I got it. See that white streak back there? Now I can go in with the yellow. Shadow Raven, don't be naughty. My camera is definitely here up. I know what you mean, though. Oh, you got picked for Quad Color Clash. Nice. That's delayed reaction there, Chibi. How many weeks ago was that? Yeah, right? Exactly. That's it, right? You want to Twitch and paint and game and prep your RPG. And you have to eat and sleep and spend time with, your family or whatever your social needs are. Because everybody needs a little bit of social in their life. Although I guess RPG does fulfill that need, depending on if you also have a significant other. But yeah, I know. Our time is at such a premium. My friends say I'm one of the most organized people they've ever met. And I'm it's totally self-defense. There's just too many things I want and need to do that if I wasn't organized, it would be a disaster. Oh, they just posted. Nice. Well, good. Yeah, I remember your toilet paper mocking beast. I'm glad. All right. I blorfed a little bit back there on that yellow. So I'm going to take in some brown liner and I'm going to narrow that line down. And sometimes that's the way you want to work it. If there's a very narrow line that you need to do and you blorf it and make it too wide, just take your liner and go in and kind of narrow it down, or whatever the base color behind it is. I do need to line a little bit around that too. There. All right, that's a little better. That's a little better. Now I've got that little yellow strut in the back. doing this model to a pretty high level, so I'm actually taking the time to do all this stuff. This is definitely not one of those models where I'm like, meh, it's a stream model, and I don't care if it has a mold line. You know, it's definitely not that. This is a model that I'm enjoying enough to want to. It's like Juliana. It's like you're enjoying it enough that you want to do it to the tops. Yellow, yellow. And again, if we get a little blorfy like we did there, we can go back in with our liner and make sure those yellow struts. Yeah, exactly. Yes, I'm pretty sure, Trixie, you're the only thing between, you know, is protecting us from Rex going completely insane. Keeping a lid on the raccoon. Alright, so a little bit of lining to make sure that these yellow guys are standing out. Just a little bit of brown liner. Brown liner is so nice because it thins down so nicely. You can do tiny little lines with it. Really bring out that sort of thing. See, the yellow's coming in. We can see the yellow on our pants. Ooh, and it really picks up that green. The yellow really picks up the green and the teal. I like that, actually. I'm really liking that. Oh, nice, nice. We are actually going to shade and highlight this yellow also, but this is our base. I want to make sure to tag all my yellow areas. And I need to remember that's a leather strap, that's a leather strap. Need to pay a little more attention to that NMM too. There's still bits on this model we need to paint. We haven't even touched her shiny black boots. And I need to line around those little yellow bits. Yeah, is anybody doing some fun Halloween models? I remember one of you said you were painting up some Bonsylvanians. Or is anybody doing, what is it, the drawing challenge? Inktober, that's what it is. Doing a little bit more outlining. I want to narrow it down. This one got a little bit out of control here. I think I want a little bit more in focus up here. Hold on, guys. Let me get her a little bit more focused here. Up a little. You're so slow. Yeah. They're quick paints, but they also have an unexpected amount of detail on them. I remember I had somewhere around here I have a werewolf in progress. I don't remember where I stuffed him though. Oh, you've been doing Inktober Dragoneye? Super. Oh, people are boycotting? Oh. Bummer. Yeah, it's too bad, Polaris. It seemed like a fun thing. It's sad when a fun thing becomes all politicized and sad. Oh, good. Yay, Hyper Bunny. Good. Enjoy your Bonsylvanian. Oh, yeah, horses. Horses are fun. Refer to photo reference. Make sure you do that. Because often people forget stuff about horse coloration. Like that the nose should be lighter or darker, like the muzzle. Stuff like that. I always use a photo reference if I'm going to do a horse. Oh, I missed a strut back here. Missed painting it dark. There. Hey, Suitor. Yeah, welcome to the community. I'm Anne. I used to work for Reaper. I created their paint line for 15 or 16 years. Then I moved out west to be with my guy, and now I work for them remotely doing painting streams where we talk about how to use the paint. I do a lot of, I answer a lot of questions, so feel free. If you have any new questions, any newbie questions, don't be afraid to ask them. Like, I really like instructing people who are new to the hobby, so. And it's always useful. Like, for every person like you who decides to speak up in stream, there are also other new people watching who are too shy. So if you ask some of your questions, you can help out those people and yourself. Right now I'm doing some yellow stripes. Yeah, it makes sense to still do it. I mean, it's a great drawing exercise. If you want to get back into drawing or you want to get into drawing in the first place, things like Inktober are really cool. It's a motivator. It's like NaNoWriMo, except for, drawing. It's Nano. The reason I do Nano every year is it makes me focus and get down to my writing again and get serious about it. And that usually lasts me for several months of work on my books. So, totally worth it. Even if Nano turned out to be corrupt tomorrow, I'd still do it. I just wouldn't necessarily participate in the website or give them donations anymore. Yeah, freehand scares a lot of people backlog. I think that the best way to start with freehand is to just start with very simple stuff. Like the stuff I'm going to be doing, what I'm going to do now is undercoat my my border here. Because it's very easy to do like a nice border, like a gold border or silver border, depending on your color scheme, or any color that you might like that makes sense, on a cape. It's one of the first forms of freehand that most people do. It's a totally valid form of freehand. It does let you practice making, your line even. And the nice thing about it is you don't have to be perfectly straight lines, because since the cape is curving, a line that's irregular won't be noticed. It's still going to look good, like as long as you get fairly decent. So if you're scared of freehand, I recommend starting out with something very simple, like cloak bottoms. That's what I started out with. And I came from a drawing background, but I was still scared of painting freehand because using a pencil and using a brush are very different. You don't have that solid tip and you've got this irregular surface. So it is a very different game. So I totally get you. But yeah, borders like this are some of the easiest freehand you can start with. Mini-Vember just seems like it would kill me. 30 minis in 30 days. Oh. Yeah, that's too bad, Liquid Nebula. Yeah, Space Marine chapter, any heraldry can be, if it's symmetrical. The next easiest thing to do after borders is to just do basic shapes like diamonds, or hearts, or a heart with crossed swords, or a shield. Those are the easiest things because they're pretty symmetrical, and what you do is you just connect the dots, right? So if you have a shield, you have two corners, and then maybe you have a bottom point. So you just have to put little dots down and make sure they're spaced out evenly. Then you just have to draw the shape and fill it in. So that's the next most easy form of freehand. I have a couple of easy freehand tutorials or simpler freehand tutorials. And then I have a very, very complicated freehand tutorial on my Patreon. That's patreon.com/paintingbig. I have some free stuff over there too if you want to go and look at it. I try to put up a little bit of free stuff here and there. I was just thinking I needed to put up a short video on loading your brush and unloading your brush to keep control of your paint, which is what lets you do little stuff and fine details. And now I'm just going over this border with white to make sure it's a nice solid white. Since it's a thicker line than a lot of these little struts and bits of yellow on the rest of her, I want it to be very solid white before I put the yellow over the top. And doing this, David asked why I do the dark color first, and the reason is that it's much easier than for me to have this little tiny dark border on the edge of my yellow if I just lay that down first and put white over the top of it, instead of trying to draw a darker border or shade a darker border on there after the fact. It's much easier to do one line and then do another line in, over the top of that. And then if I have to touch up anywhere, then I can. But if I blorf, it's no big deal. See, it's much harder to paint this line in, right? And get it straight and nice. So I just blorf it a little bit, but then I'm going to go back and correct it with the white. So that's why I do it this way. I want a little bit of a dark border. Whenever I'm doing an edge like this, I assume that it's like brocade or something that's been sewn on, heavier kind of cloth. It makes sense to have a heavier cloth on the bottom of your cloak because that's going to get the most wear, you know, or to have a decorative border that's maybe a different embroidered type of cloth. So for me, it makes sense to have a slight delineation there, that dark line, to make this stand out. And it's much simpler to put that dark line down and then just slowly work your white up kind of against it to thin it out to the point where you want it than it would be to paint that dark border there. So that's why I do it this way. And I undercoat in white because if I'm going for a light color, it's going to be much easier to make my yellow cover over this white than it would be to make this yellow cover over the dark color I started with, which is probably walnut or black. So that is our border. Oh, sorry. Patreon.com/paintingbig. Yep. And that's my own stream too. I do my own streams in the afternoon. Today is D&D stream. But it's twitch.tv/paintingbig. I am painting big everywhere. Painting big on Instagram if you want to go and see some of my older work. I put up, I think, a couple recent things also. I've been trying to get better about posting to Instagram once a week. I was really good about it when I first started the Patreon, and then it kind of, as life got busier, it kind of, I've got some liner on my brush, so I'm going to outline these plates real quick, guys. There we go. You will often see me do this. I mean, I'm like, oh, I have liner on my brush. Oh, I need to line this. I may as well do it now, you know. Put that dark separation there. All right, so we're good there. Let's get our yellow. Get back to our yellow. Oh, you've primed the pumpkin minis and Halloween night for October. That's cool. I'm Fontana. I like the Halloween night. All right, let's get this yellow down. And the nice thing about the yellow now is that it will be very bright over that white. And it will cover in one coat. Because you're putting it over white. And it'll be very true to its color. If you try to put yellow over a darker color, it can often go dark itself, or it'll go greenish if it's over black. You avoid that by doing this. Ah, I just got yellow on my chin. Apparently I really like yellow. I need to paint myself yellow. There. Sweet. Yeah, I actually need to get that $2 level up for the Patreon. Spent a lot of this past week working on coaching stuff. There we go. Oh no, a little bit of yellow blurf. Sometimes when you blurf, if you just wipe it off with your finger right away, you can get it. If it's a really thick paint, you probably want to hit it with water and scrub it off. That one I got lucky. I hit it right away the minute I made the mist stroke, and I managed to smudge it off with my finger. Sometimes, though, the finger action can backfire on you. If it's already started to dry on the edge, then it just smears it across everything, and then you have to repaint, which is very annoying. Yeah, today I think, or this week I think on my $2 level on the Patreon, I'm going to talk about alternative dark skin tones. A lot of people were sad when Dusky Skin was announced that it would be going out of production, and I know a lot of you are going over to buy it now that they've made it available for a very limited release, but I thought I would still talk about how to make that sort of skin tone on your own using a bones color that I think is really underrated right now. So we may do a color thing this time. Man, I love how these yellow stripes are looking. I really, really like them. Dang. I love what they do to the teal. May have to do this color combo again. Looking at Reaper Minis a lot because I enjoy painting models. I'm not the biggest fan building them. Yeah. Figures since I have the whole current. Yeah. Oh, good. You have all my paint. Well, yeah, I made all that paint backlog up until I moved in. I stopped doing as much mixing because I was training my replacement like late last year. But up to that point, I hand mixed and created every batch of Master Series myself. It depends on, as far as cleanup and prep, if you're using metal or if you're using bones. If you're using bones, I find taking a knife to remove the major mold lines, and then I always wash them. Whether it's bones or bones black, I just I get a bunch of bones, I toss them into a plastic mixing bowl or whatever, I put a little bit of dish soap in there, run some really hot water over it, and just kind of sploosh them around with my fingers until I figure they're, pretty clean. Essentially, if there's any mold release or something like that, I want to kind of get it off. So I do a little bit, like maybe 30 seconds of slooshing around. Then I rinse them with hot water again, and I let them dry on a paper towel or dish towel overnight, or as long until they're dry. And then I find that I can paint directly onto the bones with no primer. So yeah, that works good for me. And then with the metal minis, I do use like diamond files and a hobby knife to remove any flash or mold lines. Other than that, you obviously with the metal stuff, you usually have to glue it together. Sometimes with the bones, you also have to glue it together. Regular super glue will work for both. Hey, Trouble, how's it going? Yeah. Yeah, like Inara says, some of them are pretty clean. Sometimes they're mold lines. They're usually not too bad. And it really is up to you. Like, I don't really prep at all other than washing the bones if I'm going to be doing them for the stream. So if you're doing practice models or gaming models backlog, you may not want... maybe you don't want to do a crap ton of prep on your gaming models, but if you're going to do like a character model and you want it to be nice and you know that mold line running down the leg is going to bug the bejeebus out of you, then yeah, take it off. Usually, actually, the only prep tools I use are going to be like files, diamond files specifically, because they've got diamond grit on them, and a little bit of pressure gets a lot of result with diamond files. So like my diamond files here, diamond files, and then they have different grits, they have different sizes. This is my small size. So I use these guys for mold lines that are subtle because just a little bit of pressure can take those off. I'll use a hobby knife if it's awkward to use a file or if I need to get the tip in there. If it's a really concave area, sometimes I'll go into green stuff, sculpting putty, and fill it in. Oh no, not Twitchy Twitch. But yeah, so I'd say the amount, like, she didn't take much prep at all. I think that she was a very clean sculpt. I did a little bit of filing. I had to file a little bit on this arm, I think. She's metal. And sometimes the model will have, like, a mold line going through the hair or something else. You just gotta... With hair, I usually use files to remove it so that I can maintain some of the hair texture. All right, yellow. Using the side of my brush again to try to get these piping things. Oh, and I missed one. See? Right there. And I kind of blurfed a little bit there. So I'll use the liner. Right, exactly. That's just it. Like a lot of the stuff that I use here just as example models on this stream, I'm not going to prep. I want to use it and then just, discard it. Not really finish it. But lately I've been trying to make an effort to pick models for the stream that I really like, that I do want to finish. And so I will spend a little extra time prepping them in that case. But I would say, I rarely spend more than like 15-20 minutes prepping a model. Like it would have to be a pretty big, either a big figure or a figure that has a lot of flaws for me to spend more than that. Because usually when you find the mold line, you can kind of follow it visually around the model and see where it might pop up and hit it that way. So it's easy to find them. I forgot that piping, so it was already darkened in, but I had to add some white. Now I can add the yellow over the top. But yeah, I mean, how persnickety you want to be about prep is up to you. If you eventually would like to get to a point where you really love your paint jobs and maybe you even enter competitions like I do, I really love competition because it pushes me to do some really cool stuff. But if you want to get to that level, then it behooves you, it will stand you in good stead to get into the habit of cleaning your figures and doing a nice job on them, because then that's just the way you roll. Whereas if you tend to just roll without cleaning anything, then that may handicap you if you miss stuff when you're trying to do a good job. But yeah, like there's some stuff, and it depends on the model. Like some of the resin busts or resin figures from coming out of Europe these days, they come and they're like perfect. I don't have to do anything. It's crazy. Yeah, 15-20 minutes, Val. I don't spend a lot of time. I can usually identify the main mold line, and that's going to be the only mold line on a Reaper figure usually, because they're done in two-part molds. So if you find the one mold line, if you see a mold line going up this leg, you know that it's probably going to go in here. So you just need to look for it and see if you can see it. If you can't, you're good. And then you look up and down the arm, and you look over the hair. Tilt your model around so that your light is coming from different directions, because sometimes a mold line will be invisible until you tilt it the right direction to see. And then I just take a little bit of file. Yeah. It turns into more time, a lot more time, if I have to do a lot of puttying. Like you guys remember the giant horse I was working on, my Valkyrie project. That was several streams worth of green stuff. And so that was at least like 3 to 4 hours of prep. But that's also a competition model. It has to be perfect. So I'm taking more time there because it's going to be, I want it to be really good. I want the prep to be so good that nobody notices any faults. So the amount of time you spend should be in line with your goal for the model, is the bottom line. That's also a very big model. I mean, it's a 54 millimeter mounted on a gigantic warhorse. So, all right, we've got yellow, 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 yellow. I think I also want to base coat my NMM. Oh yeah, all those supports with the 3D printing. I never nick myself. I keep my X-Actos a little bit dull because I know I use them for scraping and I don't want a really sharp edge or it's going to gouge the miniature. So I never nick myself. Like the last time I nicked myself was over 20 years ago. I can say that with confidence because I hadn't done it since I was at Reaper. Well, maybe over 18 years ago. Yeah, I'm pretty cautious with knives and such. It was late at night, and I was working on the plastic wings of a GW Balrog, and watching the Balrog scene on Lord of the Rings while I did it, and that was why I slipped. Yeah, I mean, I use surgical steel too, but I also use it after it's dulled down. Like at Reaper, we usually just went back to the mold making department, and we just got extra blades that they were done with, because maybe it wasn't sharp enough to cleanly cut a mold anymore, but it was certainly sharp enough to clean off minis. Well, if you're going to use that stuff, Val, you got to be careful with it. Hello, Balrog. Yes, exactly. Yeah, you were the cause of my last... Let's see, can I still see the scar? I think I can, just a little. Yep, I can. All right, so my last figmentia, as they call her, figmata, as they call it, is that one right there. That was the Balrog scar, guys. It went right down. See that light line? It went all the way down there. I just remember holding my hand above my head because I was on my mom's brand new couch at the time, and it was that temporary living at home before I moved to Texas thing. And yeah, I was just like, oh God, can't bleed on mom's couch. So yeah, it was funny, and it wasn't like it was maiming me or anything, but it was kind of amusing in retrospect. At the time I was like, oh dang, how am I gonna stand up without dripping on mom's couch? Because it was bleeding like anything. Let's just say that. Bleeding profusely. All right, so we got our yellow. Mostly, let's do some shading on said yellow. I'm looking at it. It needs a little depth, and then it needs a highlight. We have a lot of little bits of yellow to do. And we have about 15 minutes. I think I started about 10 minutes late, so we can go for another 10, 15. So what I use for shading yellow, where is my orange brown? Or my harvest? I have orange brown back there. So another underrated color, but very useful for this, is 9201 orange brown. It's in the same awesome triad as 9200 harvest brown, and that's another way that I make a shadow for yellow, is if I take the mid-tone for this. Well, let me grab that. So I love this whole triad. Like, you guys all know that there's these guys. 199, 200, 201. I love these guys. They're really saturated orangey browns. You guys know I use russet brown for dang near everything. And then harvest brown, if you mix it with a bit of the color that we mixed the base coat. Remember we mixed our base coat from Lantern and Palomino? Well, if you mix a bit of Lantern with a bit of harvest, you'll also get a color that's very close to orange brown. So if you don't have 201, but you do have 200 and 9407, you can just mix a color with these two, which is what I often do. But the other day I dredged this out of my bag, so I thought I would actually leave it in the drawer for a little while and see what I might decide to use it with. So orange brown is a good shortcut. If you have orange brown, it's a great shader for yellow. Oiled leather 9110 can also be a good shader for yellow. It's a little bit more brown. It's not as orange. Yeah, orange brown is nice for pumpkins. This is a good base pumpkin color, and then move up toward sunrise orange. Alright, so shading. Make sure I shook this up. Oh, I'm going to need to unclog it because it's been a while since I opened my orange brown. This is standard. Whenever you haven't used an MSP paint for a while, you got to use your pokey tool if you have a pokey tool. Pokey tools were available during ReaperCon, I believe. Otherwise, you can just use a pin of any sort. Sometimes I use an old drill pin vise bit. Pumpkins are brighter orange, but the base for pumpkins is actually a muted orange, so this is a good color to start with and then bring it up. Depends on the pumpkin too. Some are darker than others. Alright, now I've cleaned that out. I can bring that in. Now this is where you can see how these colors go pretty well together because I've used that ochre, right? Ochre tends to be a little bit brownish, kind of mustardy, right? Well, and now this is a little bit of a brownish orange. So these things go together really well. If you, like I said, if you want it, I'll do a comparison for you. Depends on how bright, how saturated you want your shadow to be. So we could do the orange brown, or we could do 1 drop of harvest brown with like 3 drops or 4 drops of lantern yellow. 2, 3, 4. The harvest brown's pretty strong. That's why I'm using so little of it in relation to the yellow. And so if you mix that up, it's a bit browner. A little bit different. It's pretty intense, but you see how they're close to each other, right? If I wanted to take this darker, I could. If I take it a little bit darker, let's say I do a 2 to 1. But I'm using pretty small drops. I'm not using a full drop of this harvest because I know how fast it can influence the color around it. So yeah, so you won't get as orange. You get more of a browny yellow with a bit of orange in it. But they are close to each other. So you could use either of these colors to shade. Usually you want something brownish orangish to shade yellow with. You can go either way. You could even take a little bit of brush full of this, go put it in there if I like it. Or vice versa. The important thing is to get something around this point. Where a darker, you notice it's noticeably darker than our base color. It has a bit of yellow in it, whether it's because it's an orange or it's a mixture of the yellow with our brown or an orange. Hey, Shadow Raven. Which one? Yeah, I've seen those different colored pumpkins, Iffy. They're really cool. Yeah, Palomino Gold 9074, Lantern Yellow 9407. So those are very close. 9407 and 9074. That was not intentional. Hey, Mini Dungeon Master. Sup. We are highlighting, actually now we're about to shade yellow. Can candlelight or clear yellow work? You don't have lantern. Candlelight then, Val. Don't have lantern yellow? Out of season. Lantern yellow, essentially, lantern yellow is the more saturated, the more vibrant version. Candlelight yellow is very similar to lantern. It's got more white in it. That's why it's lighter. This is a more pure version of the pigment than this is. Well, this also has a little bit of tweak in it. But yeah, if you want more saturated, more vibrant, more mixing potential without adding white, you want to get lantern. If you don't mind the white, then candlelight's a great color to work with. David uses it as a primary all the time, so it certainly has, it is, you know, a yellow, still very strong yellow, even though it has white, a bit of white in it. Neon is bright. I mean, look at it, right? Marigold is a decent shader, but I might make it a little darker. I would mix Marigold with a bit of the Harvest Brown if I was gonna do stuff. I'm gonna get really close. Really, really close. And then I'm going to make sure I'm in focus. 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 Alright, let's get on this. Let's take my shadows. Let's try my orange brown. I haven't used that for a while. I think I need to plop a little bit more water into it. I want this to be pretty thin. You don't want to just overwhelm your yellow. You're trying to, like, you know, shade it gently. And if you make it... Lemon is a highlight color rather than a shadow. Yeah, marigold makes a good highlight for the orange brown. And lemon would make a good highlight for the marigold. I mean, look at the colors and assess whether they are orangey or greeny. Like, there's going to be a bright yellow that has no orange in it, and then there's definitely going to be orangey yellows. You want to separate those out. They're really for different things. So I'm adding in some dark shading on the bottom of these braids because it's kind of curving over her breastplate. So these are going to have a little shadow at the bottom. I also need a shadow at the top because I need, if I'm not going to line this, you can see there's a little knot here. So if I'm not going to line it, I need to shade around it to bring it out. And since it's like kind of its own thing, usually my rule on lining is I'll only use lining if it's a different material or if it's directly overlapping. So here, this is just tied. So I'm going to try to go without... Oh, we got a Jimmy raid. Dang. Aw, thanks for the resub, Jimmy. Fantastic. Thank you for the raid. Yes, welcome everybody. Of course, we always get raided toward the end of my stream. Hi, I'm Anne. I work for Reaper Miniatures. I do this show every morning. We do pro tips. Essentially, I'm painting Reaper models, and I'm giving a lot of tips about using the paint, using colors, color theory. We talk about paint chemistry from time to time, because I actually created the Reaper paint line. We just talk about stuff. Sometimes we talk about role-playing games and things like that. And sometimes we talk about food. But a lot of the time, we talk about painting. So, thank you for the line of my dog, Chibi. But yeah, welcome everybody. Hey, Bryce, I didn't see you lurking. Lurking, Bryce. We had a Coconut hour in chat, and I didn't even know. But yes, we're shading our yellow. Essentially, this is a teal and yellow paint scheme, and so I did the base. I underlined all the yellow with white, and then we painted our yellow base coat on, which is a heavy bit of ochre. Looks like I have a bit of rub off on that one. I need to fix that. And now we're going in with an orangey brown, and I started out with my mixture of Palomino Gold and Lantern Yellow to get a little bit better coverage for an initial coat of yellow. And then I put that over the white, which makes it go very bright. And then we can shade it and highlight it and get a nice, bright, vibrant yellow on all these details. That's probably a green yellow, Val. I'd have to look at Liquitex Basics. It's probably a green phase yellow rather than an orange phase. They go one way or the other. There is a pure spectrum yellow out there, but it was very expensive last I checked, and not a lot of companies were utilizing it because of that. So yellows either tend toward orange or they tend toward green. And generally, if you can't see an orangey tone to a yellow, it's a green yellow. That's just the way that pigments tend to work. That true spectrum yellow that we were all taught is like right between. Like, companies try to do it with moderate success, but you're still always going to get a better orange mixing an orange phase yellow with a red. Haha. Yeah, so she's getting really close to done, for those of you who haven't seen her. Let's back out so that our new raiders can see her. So this is Alithea Adair. She is a duelist model. I have chosen to paint her armor like metal because it seemed to me that these pieces seemed to be more metallic. But she's probably technically a rogue, and you could also paint this stuff that I've painted as NMM. You could also paint in leather. In fact, I'm just going to be ordering another one of her to do exactly that because I decided I wanted to try both versions. So yeah, that's her item number. She's a Reaper Dark Heavens, so she's a metal miniature. We did a little bit of sculpting to put her on cobblestones, flagstones, like she's standing on a curb in a city. So we'll be painting those when we get there. Yeah, and that's her item number right there. 03867 technically, but if you type 3867 into the Reaper store search, you will get it. And I actually have a little bit, it's bothering me that I've got a little rub off on her hair, so I'm going to fix it with my orange brown. Metal models, they do tend to have that rubbing off thing. They do tend to go there. But you can always touch them up and put a little bit of sealer over it if it looks like there's one spot. Thank you very much, Queen Teeny. Yeah, the middle yellow. Well, they do make a true spectrum yellow. They do, Shadow Raven. But like I said, it's never... it's either really expensive if it's the real thing, or if it's not the real thing, they've just been mixing different yellows to try to hit that. And that means that it's not as useful for mixing your own oranges or greens. Which is why industrial pigment companies just put out both an orange yellow and a green yellow and just leave it. They know you'll use the one that's appropriate. Backlog, if in a first competition mini, probably your primary thing is pick something you really enjoy, because you're going to be at it for a while. If you're going to do it for competition, you want to really push yourself. So you're going to be putting probably a lot of hours into it. Second thing is to choose a model that's really well sculpted, that doesn't have any muddy areas of detail where you're not sure what they are, or texture that's not sculpted very well. Kind of look really close to me at the model and see if it's a really clean sculpt, because the less you have to fight with the model in a competition piece, the better it'll go. Let's see. Yes, adds to wish list for sure. This is a beautiful model. I love her. And I have to say, I was telling everybody earlier on the stream, guys, she's been a pleasure to paint. Like, I wasn't planning to paint her for 3 days this week, but then she just was so much fun, I couldn't resist. Primary color looks like a standard yellow. Yeah, that's a green yellow. So... But yeah, backlog. Those are probably my two things. And the other thing is, if you're particularly good at something, so say like if you're good at freehand, or you're good at cloth textures, or you're good at like metallics or NMM. If you're good at something, choose a model for the competition that lets you showcase that. Lets you showcase how good you are. If you're good at skin, if you're good at doing that sort of thing. Choose a model that do that. If you think you're not really good at anything, but there's something you want to push yourself on, you can also choose a model for competition based on that. So like if you're okay at skin tones, but you want to really get better, and there's like maybe a model you want to try to copy that has a lot of skin, like that would be a good choice then for you. So it's tactical depending on where you are in your painting thing. For me, now, although I'm very good at a lot of things, there's still stuff that I'd like to get better at. So if I'm going to pick a model for competition, I'm going to pick something that makes me push myself on one of those things, probably. Where it's like, I want to get more realistic skin tones. So maybe I'll pick a model that's sculpted really realistically and has a very good face, right? So that I can work with that and try to get myself up to my next level. Oh yeah, wishlist rocks. Yeah. Well, yeah, they're right. They should be the days. I mean, and I was painting her prior to that. We did a lot of her NMM previously, the breastplate and one arm and one leg and one sword. And then yesterday I finished out the rest of the NMM. And decided I wanted to work on the yellow today. And then we've got some of these white areas that are still white going to be NMM gold. So we'll be working on those. I still have a little bit of skin to tackle. Yeah, she's getting close though. She's getting real close. Oh, and then the boots are going to be shiny black, so we're going to do shiny black leather. Oh, Nightheart has monthly challenges now. That's cool. Oh, pink orcs for cancer awareness sounds super fun. Oh, sorry, Dragon Eye. I'm sorry Twitch is twitching on you. My apologies. I hope you can tune in this afternoon. Yes, eyes. Yeah, I have Dudor eyes. But the thing is, Polisar, okay, this bothers my boyfriend so much, but eyes are the last thing I do on the model. I do all the rest of the model, and then I do the eyes, because it's just, I got in this habit where when I put the eyes in, they look finished. And so I want to finish everything else before I do the eyes. But yeah, it bothers my boyfriend so much. He hates it. He does the face and the eyes first on a model. But there was just like, I really enjoy that part, so I'm just like, well, I'm just going to hold off. All right, so shading. I need to shade under the arm here, because that would be in shadow for sure. So I'm going to brush a light coat of this. This is probably, if I had to guess my paint consistency on this orange brown, I'm going to say it's not quite a 1-to-1, maybe a 2-to-1. So 2 drops of paint per 1 drop of water. So it's pretty thin, because I don't want to like totally overwhelm stuff. I just want to give a touch of shadow and dimensionality so that when I go back and highlight things like this braid, it really pops. You could paint her so many ways. You're with David. They look soulless without eyes, Bryce, and I should paint the eyes in. Oh man, now I'm gonna have both of you like, ganging up on me. Go paint the dang eyes. I do actually, when he really bothers me about it, I do go in and paint the eyes on figures. It always feels wrong though. It feels so wrong. A little bit of shading here. A little bit of shading.
Well, you finish that shading, Miss Anne. I'll
look for a
raid for
I
us.
know, yeah, that sounds good. We need a raid. Yeah, I just want to get a little bit more of this. I want the underside of this rope here to be darker. I really like the richness that the orange brown adds to the yellow. So then when we come in with our even lighter yellow to really pop these highlights, we'll have a nice, we should have a nice 3-dimensional paint job. I find that on these very small details, guys, you really only need a shadow, a midtone, and a highlight. Anything more than that, it's just kind of wasted on very, very tiny details. So that's why I'm kind of like going, here's my midtone, now I'm going to put in my shadow, then I'm going to add my highlight, and we're pretty much going to look great. Because on such small areas, you don't need more. So a big reminder for everybody, I am streaming on my own Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/paintingbig, all one word. This afternoon, we're doing an experiment thing. I'm actually streaming in the Dungeons & Dragons category. And we're creating a world, and we're painting characters. We're doing painting D&D characters and creating their characters and the world that they live in. And then eventually, we'll probably get around to some mass role-playing. Kind of like Choose Your Own Adventure stream, whatever. But right now, it's exciting because we're creating stuff about the world. So if that sounds fun to you and you're not doing anything this afternoon before Reaper Live, come on over, twitch.tv/paintingbig. And I will be probably talking about the races of the world today and kind of the cultures that they have. And we need to discuss deities a little bit. We need to discuss a little bit more about the city, and maybe we'll start working on our first character, who I think is a bard. Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. I am really looking forward to it. So who do we have to raid, Justin?
I think we're going to be raiding Michael Mordor. He looks like he's doing a little round table discussion with a couple of people about D&D and miniatures.
Oh, cool. Oh, that's really cool. Hey, that's really thematic with what I was just talking. Trouble it's for my Patreon right now. We're trying to work up whether we're going to do a different one for the stream, for the D&D stream or not. But stay tuned on that. Alrighty. Have fun, everybody. I'm glad that you all tuned in. Raiders, well, thank you so much for boosting our numbers and coming and hanging out with us. I hope you come back. I do this every weekday at 11:30 a.m. USA Central Time, which is probably around 6:30 p.m. in Europe, some places. I don't know, 7 hours, 8 hours, something around there. But I hope that you stop back in and hang out with us at some point in the future. And have a great day, guys. Have a great Thursday.
Thank you guys very much. Keep being awesome, and we will see you this afternoon for Painting Platinum and then Reaper Live. Thank you guys very much.